If you could introduce yourself.
Ashley, thank you. I'd just like to understand a little bit more about both of your standpoints on climate change and what you guys both intend to do if elected.
Thank you, Ashley. Mr. Guy.
We want to put in place legislative targets, and the legislative targets would match the New South Wales targets so that the two biggest economies in Australia would be paired, and that's a 50% emissions reduction target by 2030. It's legislated, it's there, it has to be achieved. We're confident it can be achieved. One of the reasons I talked about gas before is because it allows us to have an energy transmission or going from one to the other, if you like, from coal, which is going to close. When my family came to Australia, they worked in the coal industries in the Latrobe Valley, but we're getting out of coal, rightly so. But we need a transition from coal to renewables, and that midpoint will be gas. We have gas power plants in Newport, in Mortlake. They can be used so we build up our renewables supply, which can then power our economy, should it be able to, into the future. So we have to have sensible transition and targets to meet. We've got doubling of subsidies around solar for people's homes, for batteries for people's homes, for community groups to get onto solar as well, and batteries, community batteries, so that people can independently power themselves cleanly and efficiently, taking off the government's tax on electric vehicles to encourage what are now price points down to near $40,000 for EVs in the state, putting in place incentives for EV chargers around Victoria so that, you know, it's not just limited to people's homes, there's hundreds of more chargers around the state. You have to do things sensibly and reasonably and responsibly. We can do that, and starting with that legislated guarantee on emissions reduction, which matches what the federal government's asking us to do and matches what our economy in New South Wales, our two biggest economies, can do. And once it's legislated, we have to get to it, and I think that's a sensible way forward.
We have legislated targets. We've smashed them, all of them. And we're really, really proud of Victorians for the contribution they've made. We're the renewable energy capital of our nation. We've tripled the share of renewable electricity. We've created more renewable energy jobs in our state than any other state in our nation. Bringing back the SEC is about cost of living, absolutely. But it's also got massive benefits for the planet as well. We will deliver net zero by 2045. That is the most ambitious climate action, not climate talk, not climate, find every reason not to do it, but a big, bold, ambitious agenda, because Victorians are always at their best. Our state is always at its best when we are leading our nation, whether it be in mental health reform, family violence reform, and now early childhood education reform, that free kinder I spoke about earlier on, and now climate change action. This is not a challenge, it's a big opportunity if we just get this right. And if we allow the private sector to do the leading and dealing here, then they'll look after their shareholders. I'm not blaming them for that. That's their job. The job of government is to look after all of our citizens and make sure that we have enough power for the future, because if there's no electricity, there's no economy. But do it 100% renewable. That's critically important. Technology's changing. We have to work hard every day. We have been, and now it's time to take a really big next step, and that's exactly what bringing back the SEC, government-owned renewable electricity, that's what it's all about. Climate action, as well as putting downward pressure on bills and creating 59,000 jobs, fully 6,000 of which will be apprentices. That's more than a climate change agenda. That is climate change action.